Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, Charlie Cook is normally, this is his day, but Charlie couldn't make it, and so stepping in his shoes is John Petrolino, author of the book, and I've got it right here, although you can't see it very well, Decoding Firearms. There you go. John's got a copy there too. Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide to general gun safety and use. He also is a writer for Bearing Arms. You occasionally see his stuff on Ammo Land and a bunch of other places. John Petrolino joins us. John, thanks for coming along for the ride today, man.
Paul, thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to be with you. As you know, I was just at the Great American Outdoors Show in Harrisburg, PA. I was there yesterday. I was there today. What a wonderful time. Got to meet up with a lot of great people. So it was a blast. And I literally just just walked in the door right before we went live. So I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna have a snack. I got like a little candy bar here. If you're okay with it, I'm gonna have this snack here. My God, Paul, you're not gonna believe this. I've got a New Jersey permit to carry.
Oh, you got
the golden
got
ticket.
Your golden ticket. You got your New Jersey permit, man.
Finally got issued. That's right. It took several months, and they did some shenanigans with restrictions on the back, with trying to say you can't carry it in your car. But it did finally get issued. So I just want to do a big shout out to the New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruin case, to the NRA, all those guys that fought for this, and everyone, all of the groups that have been fighting for our freedom, SAF, etc. So I'm legal.
That's awesome. That is awesome, my friend. So now if you step off your porch, you cannot legally be arrested just for carrying.
Correct. So, we're working through all the things, and you've been covering the TROs and everything that's been going on in New Jersey, because they've been working double time to try to restrict our rights. My permit itself does have its own special court restriction that I have to work to remove, because they're just that great in New Jersey. So we'll figure it out. But I can take a walk with my firearm if I so am inclined.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, what I want to start with today is an article you wrote for Bearing Arms. I caught it, I believe it was this morning that I actually found it on Bearing Arms and read it. You made your first trip to SHOT Show this year, and the most recent article, you did an overview that came out almost a week ago, and then you did an article, I believe, that hit either yesterday or today, that was describing your time at Range Day. And for those of you who have not been to SHOT Show, and honestly, SHOT Show is an invitation-only thing. So a lot of the public and several that are watching are not able to attend because they don't get the magic invite to go, and only media members are allowed to go to the morning edition of Range Day. So for those that may not have gotten the invite or couldn't go, describe, if you would, what it's like to go to Media Day at the range.
Media, the whole entire experience was phenomenal. SHOT Show, from the snap of the ball to the blow of the whistle, I really had a great time. And I was feeling that it was going to be overwhelming, because there really is a lot of stuff going on. And I went in with a very open attitude with both SHOT Show and with Range Day, that there's going to be a lot to do, and you're going to do what you do, and that's it. And we're not going to get upset, for anything that we miss. So Range Day itself, it took place probably it's about an hour drive outside of the city limits of Las Vegas. I think if you did one of the maps programs, it would say it's like 40-something minutes, but by the time you get through with the traffic on the Strip and everything, you're looking about an hour. So you load up onto some charter buses and then head out to the desert. And the range facility it's huge. I don't know how many ranges there really are, but I know there was like over 100 and I think 160 vendors. I can't remember how many I said there were. There were a ton of vendors there, a lot of firearms to try out, and there really was something there for everyone. So I think the first place I went to was like Franklin Armory, their booth, and I got to try out some binary triggers, which that's something that I've never got to give a whirl to, and that was great. And one of the triggers that I did get to try was their Glock trigger. So they have a slide that they've machine that they're using that has a switch very similar to like a Glock 18 if that were to switch to full auto. This one is between shooting regular or binary trigger. And they expect, I believe that binary trigger was announced last year at 2022 SHOT Show, but they've been still working on it and developing it, and they never did release it last year. They plan to release it this year. Their website said, I think by third quarter, they really want to try to get it a little bit closer to that. So we could probably expect to see it maybe over the summer, and you could get a Glock binary trigger. But that was really cool to kind of just stumble into that. And that's what Range Day kind of was like for me, was just seeing what there was. I didn't go out with a giant plan. I had all the materials. I had the books. I had the planning materials. I looked over stuff in a cursory fashion, but I didn't go in with an actual, 10-page itinerary of what I was going to do when. I figured, let me just see what this is all about first. Now, I definitely did learn a lot about going to this kind of a convention from my experience. But for Range Day itself, it was just a matter of where did the wind blow me. And of course, when I rolled in, I went in with Eye on the Target Radio with Amanda and Rob. Charlie Chambers was there, Robin Sandoval, Charlie Cook. And we all kind of got there at once, and then we all kind of splintered off to do our own things here and there. But of course, you're walking around, and you run into Tony Simon, you run into Amy Dillon, you run into all of your friends that you haven't seen in a couple of months or since GRPC or whatever last event there was, and it was just really nice. And getting to talk to people, hey, what have you got to see lately that was new, that was cool? And overall, I think it was a great experience. It's a long, tiring day. I would say I did the whole day. Maybe half an hour left of Range Day, we packed up and went to the bus. But we sat on the bus long enough for Range Day to close before they took off. So technically we were there until the end of Range Day. But overall, what a great experience.
Very cool. Very cool. I want to get in some comments. And by the way, if you want to get your comment on the air, if you're watching on the Polite Society Facebook or YouTube feed, go ahead and comment on those live videos. If you're catching us anywhere else, go to YouTube or go to, Twitter and tweet with the hashtag #TheBullet. Get the first one up. We've got that guy that's lollygagging today, riding shotgun with Charlie chiming in. He says, "Good evening, Patriots." Normally that's your thing there, John.
I think Charlie's in probably Hartford, Connecticut by now. So he left around 1 o'clock from Harrisburg. I left around 2. So he still has a little ways to go to make it back to the Bay State.
Well, and let's face it, he's going to be going through Massachusetts, so it could be midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning before traffic lets him get home.
True.
Let's get a couple more. Jack Need on the Facebook side, referring to New Jersey's, says New Jersey gun owners need to fight the stupid hollow point restrictions. The only state in the nation where they're illegal as carry ammo.
It's not just that they're illegal as carry ammo, it's the actual possession of the bullets. So you can't even leave your house with hollow point bullets. It's not even the cartridge, it's the bullets in your pocket without a firearm or intent to use them. So talking about carry restrictions, it's not just carry, it's straight up possession restrictions. But that's why they have the guard dog ammo and they have some of the polymer filled ammunition. If you go on the New Jersey State Police website, it will explain that some of these other ammunitions are perfectly fine because they're not hollow points. So if you dig around, you can find ammo that'll do the same thing, but it's not hollow point.
And I don't know how to put this. The website is dangerously close to giving legal advice. Is the only way I'm going to put that. I don't carry in New Jersey. Obviously, New Jersey does not accept any out-of-state permits, and so I've not researched it that closely myself. However, you do your own research as to what you carry, and neither John or I are giving legal advice. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's not legal advice. If you go on there, the resources are out there. And for all legal things, I recommend people find an attorney like Evan Knappen or one of the other attorneys that our state association would recommend.
And let me get next comment up here real quick. 500 Magnum says, I've been carrying a full-size 1911 lately. I love it, but I feel we've all really gotten spoiled with all this small lightweight guns, so no one wants to carry a full-size anymore. I'm going to say this. My everyday carry is a Car CW9. It's not a full-size gun. My secondary carry, the one I carry when I'm out and about and it's just I want to put a gun on quickly and maybe I don't want to tuck the car and get it all really, down into the concealed carry mode, I will carry a Glock Model 2340 caliber, which is not full size. It's the step down from full size. I guess mid size may be the correct term for it. But I don't know. My thought is I'm kind of two ways about the smaller size guns. Number one, I love my car for its concealability. I'm not all that hot on it because it only has a limited round capacity in the magazine. I much prefer my Glock that has a 13 round capacity, and if I stick the bigger mag in, I've got a 15 round capacity. But there are reasons they make spare mags, man. So let's see here. Well, your thoughts on, do you carry full size? Do you carry what do you carry on a daily basis, John? Now that you can carry.
Right now, where I'm at is like my clothing can barely contain me. So what I'm carrying, I have a 43 that I like to carry, or Glock, or a 26. I'm kind of a compact, subcompact kind of guy. That's what I'm leaning towards.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard with a lot of the newer compact guns and subcompact guns. It's really hard to beat their concealability. With an inside the waistband tuckable holster, almost anything you wear will totally disappear.
Sure, and yeah, 100%. And to the point of bigger clothing and things like that, a 43 or something of that size, that could fit in a cargo pant pocket, no problem, and that won't look anything weirder than a cell phone in a pocket. So yeah, there's plenty of options out there.
Absolutely. This one just popped, and I got to get it before we go on to the next story. 500 Magnum says, my brother's carries a Desert Eagle and 50 Action Express. You're not going to fit that one in a cargo pant pocket. I've shot those, by the way, and they are incredible weapon systems, and they do pack a punch both directions. They go down range at a really high velocity, but they also kick like a mule. So let's go ahead and get started here. I want to go to a story, John, about this one off the Oklahoman.com. A Midwest city, Oklahoma, gun store owner has been accused of improperly disposing of 236 shotguns in a dumpster. Also, a man was allegedly allowed to keep 2 of the weapons as keepsakes and federal authorities want to know why. The mystery emerged January 19th when a sanitation worker discovered the weapons and alerted authorities. Insider.com reported late Friday, citing court filings and a news report. But it all started months before at an International Firearm Corp at 57, I'm not going to read the address, owned by Raymond Musado, 54, of Oklahoma City. Apparently this guy owns a gun store and was trying to get rid of some defective weapons, what he's saying is defective weapons. And the big problem I have with this story, John, I went and I got the photo off the website. This is the story. This is the photo they're running on that story. And I don't know about you, John, but in order to fill a dumpster to that level, there's a whole lot more than just 236 shotguns and a few rifles in there. That is...
I'd agree.
Yeah, that's some shotguns and rifles on top of a whole lot of something else. And
this story to me is just beyond bizarre, and I would really be interested in finding out, because I don't think that this is just, on the surface, the veneer of this, that doesn't even make sense. I mean, there's this process that you should go through to get rid of defective firearms, and I'm sure, you could turn to the ATF and ask them, what the heck am I supposed to do with these that are defective? Probably cut the receiver and then send them off to a scrapyard or whatever. But again, this all has to be done like under strict guidelines, because if you're not careful, you might be making an illegal firearm as you're cutting up a gun.
Oh yeah, especially if you're talking cutting the barrel first. Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot to this. There's a lot of minutia to this, and I don't know, if you open up a dumpster and there's a whole bunch of guns on the top of it, to me that's almost like staged. I don't know.
Yeah. I posted to Facebook earlier. I created a meme, the one that's got the televangelist, saying, "Jesus, I see what you've done to others, and I want you to do that for me." I mean, to stumble across something like that, holy cow! And Mike White is kind of thinking on my lines of thinking. I'd go dumpster diving there. So. And honestly, I don't know that there would be anything illegal about acquiring a firearm that way. It was obviously discarded.
I mean, it would obviously depend on the state law. Again, in a draconian state like New Jersey, that would be an unlawful transfer. But it's like, is it a transfer? I mean, I don't know how that even transpires, and then at that point, if you get it in your house, if you have a firearm in your house, you don't have to have any paperwork. So it's like really weird how the law is,
Yeah. Next story, and my wife caught this story this morning, and as we were out doing some errands, and she read the story to me as we were driving down the road. I'm like, I've got to talk about that one today. This one off of Breitbart.com, it's an AWR Hawkins story. On Friday, U.S. District Judge Patrick Wyrick dismissed an indictment against Jared Michael Harrison, holding the statute relied upon to ban gun ownership by marijuana users is unconstitutionally vague, in violation of the Due Process Clause, and unconstitutionally infringes upon his fundamental right to possess a firearm, in violation of the Second Amendment. Harrison, the guy that was being charged, was indicted by a federal grand jury on August 17th, 2022, for possessing a firearm while being an unlawful user of marijuana, with 18 U.S.C. 922, subsection G, paragraph 3, being relied upon in the indictment. In applying Bruin, the Judge Wyrick pointed out, the question here is thus whether stripping someone of their right to possess a firearm solely because they use marijuana is consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. If it is not, then that law cannot be constitutionally applied to Harrison, no matter the reasonableness of the policy it embodies. I'm gonna make a few qualifications here real quick, John. I am in favor of anybody being able to own firearms. That includes people who habitually drink. That includes people who use marijuana. I don't care what you put in your body. As long as you, when you're using your firearms, use them responsibly, it's all cool with me. And this is a victory. This is a big victory for the Second Amendment, in my opinion. What do you think, bud?
Now, 100%. And we're starting to see this post New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruin push where federal guidelines are being attacked, and things like even the Lautenberg Act might be coming under scrutiny with, I think, where was it, Texas, where they found the domestic abuser, somebody that wasn't convicted, but there was a TRO, I believe, also found unconstitutional. It's like, here's the thing. Originally, when all of these laws were put into place, this is like, it was a matter of violent felons. So it was things like murder and things like that. And I'm kind of the opinion that if you're out of prison and you've paid your debt to society, if you're that bad of a person that you can't have a firearm, then you shouldn't be out of prison, should you? Like, I don't know. Yeah. People should be able to have the opportunity to be completely repatriated with all of their rights once they've served their time. And you hear all the prison reformists and people talking about prison reform and felons being able to get jobs and felons being able to have privacy, and companies can't ask these questions anymore. But you don't hear those people that advocate for those policies saying that felons should be able to get their firearms back. And there is a process in our law. And this is the same thing with the, marijuana use, whether they're saying that, well, you're a user of a controlled substance that's still, illegal federally, or if you're a felon for white-collar crime. I mean, I don't care. There's an actual process where you can be repatriated with your rights, but our government has defunded it since, I believe, the 90s. I don't, yes. Maybe 1991, I think it was. I don't know 100%. It's the 90s, maybe a little bit later than 91. But anyhow, there is a process, but they've defunded it. I want to see these politicians step up to the plate and refund that program so people could be repatriated with their rights. The whole marijuana thing, forget that. I think we're beyond this. These states and these more liberal-leaning policymakers are saying everyone should be able to use marijuana. Then get the law off the book that says that you can't own firearms if you use marijuana. Be done with it.
Yep. Let me get a couple comments in here real quick. Big John 410 wants to know if the chat is working on Rumble. Little bit of getting deep into tech here, but I can pull up comments off YouTube. I can pull up comments off Facebook. My software does not pick up comments on Rumble. So, and I've got so many things going on the screens here in front of me. I don't have the bandwidth up here to load another window and keep track of that. So, unfortunately, no, it's not. I can have the software do Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter comments, but I cannot pick up off Rumble. The software won't do it anyway. Let's see here. We got a comment off of one of the places on Facebook it's being viewed. 2A is the only pre-existing human right you lose if you drink a beer. 1 in North Carolina outside your home, of course. And let me say this, and I'm sure you're going to agree with this, John. I equate drinking or doing anything else that alters your mind and carrying a firearm the same way I do drinking or doing anything else that alters your mind and driving. There has to be a way. You've got to be able to know yourself when you start feeling effects. When you start feeling effects, it's time to put away the firearms. It's time to give up your keys and not drive until all that's worked out of your system. That's how I feel anyway. What do you feel?
Yeah, and I agree. And, there's different states and jurisdictions. And, of course, one of the laws that, and I think you spoke about it, was last Monday on the Jersey TRO against our carry killer law, was targeting bars and restaurants that serve alcohol. They're just assuming that if you're in a bar or a restaurant that serves alcohol, that you do not have the control, the self-control to not drink in excess and become out of control. And it's just absurd. So it's the same thought process. They just try to completely make it where it's prohibited in those places. And people could be in a restaurant, and it's like you think about some of your chain restaurants. You're going there. This is maybe family time. You're there, with kids or whatever, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever you're doing. Obviously, not everyone's running around drunk and crazy. I mean, we proved that prohibition was a bad idea a really long time ago. But again, if you could drink responsibly and drive a vehicle, you should be able to drink responsibly and bear an arm. And yes, that's up to the individual to know thyself. But there should be a standard that shows that it's allowed, not that it's prohibited. It's just to what level.
Yeah. Another comment here that I want to get in, this one from George on the YouTube side. Most marijuana convictions were plea bargains down from a more serious charge. That's probably, I'm going to say that's true. I don't have statistics to prove that. However, I would say that's most likely absolutely true. If they want to remove your Second Amendment rights, get that bigger conviction. Honestly, the only convictions I think you should lose your Second Amendment rights for are treason and murder. And other than that,
those were capital punishments back at the time of the founding. If you engaged in those, you were looking at the gallows.
Yeah. Anything else, if you get out of prison, once you get out of prison, give them all their rights back. I'm looking at a whole lot. I'm looking at a whole lot of comments here because we've gotten a ton of them. George says, I'm not cool with felons going into law enforcement. Well, I don't know that I would be about that either. And I love this comment, at least the beginning of it. I haven't read the whole thing, but Gun Website says, I'm okay with felons being given the chance to change their lives. Who would cherish freedom as much as someone who has lost it? Some may be always bad, sure, but most are not. Give them a path. Very well said, Pete. What do you think, John?
I agree, and that goes back to my statement about the defunding of this program where you could repatriate people with their firearm rights here in the United States. And this is something that I think I'm going to start looking further into and writing more about. But to be perfectly honest with you, I think some of this stuff is going to work itself out in other court cases, as we're seeing, such as this case in Oklahoma with the marijuana, and even I think, like I said, it was Texas with the temporary restraining order on a domestic. It's like, look, if these aren't convictions, right? In the case of like a temporary restraining order, this isn't somebody that's a prohibited person that found their day in court. And even if you've had your day in court, if you're a free man or a free woman, you should have a way. I agree with Pete 100%.
Well, believe it or not, man, we are fast approaching the bottom of the hour. I've got to turn this thing around and do Polite Society in 30 minutes. So if you would, please, on our way out the door, tell everybody about this book that I'm holding up that people really can't read.
The book is Decoding Firearms.
You can read it fine.
It's Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. It's a 101 level guide. It's to help new shooters and instructors and those that want to brush up on firearms. There's over 115 original illustrations in the book. You could get it on Amazon. You could get it at Gun for Hire online. from their website if you don't want to get it from Amazon. And if you want to learn more about me, my book, or anything else that I'm doing, you can find me online at www.thepenpatriot.com. And I'm also always looking for news tips. So if you guys out there have news tips for me, email me, john@thepenpatriot.com.
All right, very cool, man. On my end, I'm going to say this begins our broadcasting week.
There she goes.
There we go. I got her.
That's the reminder.
Yes, it's a reminder that I'm late and we got to get out of here. This starts my
Well, Paul,
broadcasting
thank you for
week.
having me.
Yes, absolutely, John. We're going to step aside here. I'll be back in 30 minutes with Polite Society Podcast, and we'll be back Tuesday, tomorrow through Friday with regular editions of The Bullet and another one on Saturday at noon Central Time. Come join me all week. We'll talk about the news of the day. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.